In this formula, I'm going to talk about using formulas. There's nothing here that's complicated, but it requires repetition. So I want you to do this 3 times. Whatever we do here, I want you to do 3 times. So I want you to save this file as original, and then save it as practice. Do everything in the practice file, shut it down, open the original so you can start over from scratch, save that as practice. And again, we want to have everything kind of like muscle memory, so you're not thinking about how to copy, how to lock stuff down. You're thinking about the technical aspects of your spreadsheet. If you're in finance or real estate or accounting, wherever it is, you want to think about those technical details and not be focused on how do I make Excel work. Being able to copy quickly and efficiently is going to save you so much time. It's just really unbelievable. And again, we're going to try to touch the mouse as little as possible because that's going to be quicker. Alright, so the first thing is insert a row above what's currently row 1. So I need to be in row 1. By the way, if I save the file right here and I close it and open it back, I'm going to have cell A1 highlighted. If I move down to here, I'm in cell D7. If I save here, close and open it, I'm going to open back up to cell D7. So go up to row 1, Control plus, and just toggle through with your up and down arrow keys so you get the entire row. Click OK, puts the entire row in there. Now I want to merge these cells. Now some people will tell you don't merge cells, some people don't like it. I don't want to do both, just want to do this one. But if I want to make these are all returns, so I want to label them all returns. So if I merge and center, then cell B1 to F1 becomes one big cell, and I can call it returns. And maybe I want to do not underline, bold, italics, maybe give some sort of color. And use of color we'll talk about some other time. I'll kind of limit that as much as I can. So maybe I don't want that to be red. Maybe I want it to be just a black or a blue, whatever it happens to be. So like I said, some people don't like doing that, but it's a visual thing that I kind of like, so up to you. Now I want to sum the returns for each month. Now this doesn't make any financial sense. There's no reason to ever do this. Again, everything we're doing here is just to practice using formulas. The best way to do sum is press Alt equal. When I press Alt equal, Excel guesses what you want to add up. In this case, it guessed right. I just hit enter. If I was over here and pressed Alt equal, it would find the nearest numbers and try to sum those up. If that was wrong, I could just highlight a different group of numbers, and that would be my sum. So it's really a quick way to do it. Now I want to copy this down because I want to have this sum. And by the way, this green is just telling you, are you sure that cell is right, that the formula there is right? If you're sure it's right, you can just ignore it. So I want to copy this down. The best way to do that, because I want it for every month, is to get to this right corner here, and the white cross becomes a black cross. As soon as that white cross becomes a black cross, I double click the left mouse and it copies it down. And notice how far it copies it. It goes to where the data stops. Right? It sees data to the left and it stops right there. If there was nothing in these cells to the left, then that wouldn't work. I couldn't do this double click kind of copy. One other thing, notice when I'm here at the bottom, I can't see the top. That's really bad form on a spreadsheet. So I want to know what's in the top. I know column headings. I don't know if I want to know the top row, the top 2, top 3. I just kind of pick a spot right here. And I'm going to go to View. I'm going to freeze the panes. And the reason for that, now I come to the bottom, I know what the column headings are. And then when I go back up, notice what I did. When I do Control Up, it skips to the top. I have row 3 to row 87. Just go down with the down arrow key, and there it appears. Alright, so every once in a while I'm doing Control S to save. And right here I want to have the average, so I type equal. And actually there are a couple ways to do this. One is if you don't know I know there's a formula for average, I don't know what it is. You come over here to formulas, you go to Insert Function, and you type in average. And you just click Go. And it gives you the different things that Excel says. So you want average, it's kind of like a Google search, right? Maybe this is one of the formulas that you're going to need. And then you could just click OK, and you could put the average in following these prompts. But for something simple like average, I already know it. Whether it's simple or complex, if I already know, I just start typing equal and A. Now, I'm going to do this slowly. See, when this A comes up, I have everything that starts with A. It's in alphabetical order. I can go with my arrow key. I can go all the way down, scroll through, because it's average, almost every one of them. And once I get to this, just type tab. Alright, I'm going to escape and do this over. So if I'm typing equal AV, and then everything that starts with AV comes up, average is the next one, go down with the arrow key, tab. And now it knows you want to average this stuff up. So you can go with your arrow keys to what you want to average. And this is important. You just wherever you want to average, go around with the arrow key. When you get to this first one, Apple, press the period. When I press the period, watch another B3 appear. So I can either go over with my arrow keys like this and hit enter and I have it. I can do it that way, or, by the way, one thing that I see all the time I don't like is people, I want you to redo something here. I see people click up in this formula bar and backspace like that. Don't do that. It drives me insane. You want to put a different formula in here? Type equal. For any formula, by the way, you need to have equal or plus or minus to start out. So Excel knows, hey, it's putting in a formula. So our function. So equal AV for average. I see it come up. Down arrow key to select it. Tab. Go over to, I know I want the Walmart, press period, control over, come back one, that's what I want to average. Now I need to close the parenthesis, but guess what? Excel knows you need to close that parenthesis, so if I just hit enter, Excel is going to guess that you want that parenthesis closed. Now you may have on your spreadsheet come up sometimes a little box that says, hey, do you want another parenthesis? Just click yes, and it'll take care of it. So I want that average, and again, double click that down. I'll do Control Z so you can see that again. The white cross becomes black. Double click it down. I want to check to have all those. Control down arrow key. I got them all. I have this panes frozen so I can see what's going on. Back to the top. Now I'm going to do the average times the multiplier. So I never want to type in a number. I always want to do a formula reference. Always a cell reference. So never a number, always a cell reference. Unless it's a number that absolutely never changes, like 1 plus R. You put in the 1 because it's always going to be 1 plus R. So here, equal the average. I'm going to do this wrong for a reason. Times the multiplier of 10. So I've taken this number and multiplied by 10. A couple things I want you to notice. Notice here this is 0.223. This is 0.2234. See, that didn't really multiply by 10. But yeah, because if I come over here, even though it's only showing you 4 decimal places, Excel is keeping the full number in there. It knows exactly what that number should be. So it may just be showing you those 4, but it's really doing the calculation with all the decimals. By the way, if I want to get the, another kind of thing, if I want to get the column as narrow as possible, but still show everything, come up here, double click. If the column is ever too narrow, it'll just show a bunch of pound signs there. So I can just come up here, double click, it gets the appropriate width. So now I want to take all these averages for each one of the months and I want to multiply by 10. So I double click and there are a bunch of zeros. Why is that? So it's pretty easy to tell where it is now, hopefully, but when you start to get more complicated stuff like, well, at least you know it's a mistake, I should say, because you know these are not all zeros. So every time you copy something down, I highly recommend you take one of the cells, not the first one, but one below it, double click. When it double clicks, look and see what it shows you. It shows you I'm multiplying this cell in blue times that one in red. Clearly, that's not the one that you wanted to multiply. You wanted to keep multiplying by K3. By the way, if this is a small mistake, if we're not dealing with a lot of data, you can just take this and move it to wherever you want to move it. And it'll do that multiplication. But what we really want to do here is we want to lock down K3. We will make sure it's always multiplied by 10. So if you press F4, see what happens. The dollar sign goes in front of K and in front of 3. So it's The $sign is an anchor. It's anchoring the column, and it's anchoring the row. Press F4 again. It's anchoring just the row. F4 again. It's anchoring just the column. F4 again. Anchoring nothing. This is anchoring both. And we'll talk more about that in a later video. But for now, I'll just lock this down. And when I copy this, I can either, by the way, I can drag it. If I want to just drag it, like I just got to go down 5 or 6 rows, I can just drag the thing. But if I want to go down however many rows we have, how many we have? About 110 rows. If I want to do that, dragging 110 rows, I'm just double clicking. Goes down. Is that formula right? Take one of these, randomly hit it, and yeah, I'm multiplying this number times that. It's exactly what I want to do. Alright, so then we want to have a divider. Actually, I meant to have this typed in for you earlier. Divider, just call that 5. By the way, make sure you format everything. I've already formatted stuff, but it's always going to be an even number. Then you want to have, when you do the number format, you want to have the right number of decimals. Like over here, I have 4 decimal places for each one of these. I don't know that 4 decimal places is right, but I know I want them to be uniform where they're all the same. So I can highlight this. I can change $sign if I wanted to. These are not dollars, so I don't want to do that. I could change them to percent if I wanted to. I think this looks better in number, and I think it looks better with 4 decimals. Depends on the situation. Just make sure you format all the time so it looks sharp. Alright, so now I want to divide every number in column H by what's in column K3. So actually I need to have another column here to do this. So Control plus, and see my Excel is slowed down there for no apparent reason. So let's do what was I going to do? Sum. I'll just do average divided by divider. Give it some name there. My divider is 5. And what I can do is, rather than locking this down and calling it cell, like here we had cell L3, which is now cell L3 because I had a column. I'll get rid of this by doing Control minus. So Excel is, and again, this is why I always save, because for whatever reason Excel is not responding to me too well. Okay, now the computer's working with me a little bit better. So maybe instead of just having the reference here K3, I don't know what K3 is, it doesn't mean anything to me. Maybe I want to use a name. So I can call this divider. So I can click up in this. This is the name box. I can click here. I can call this anything I want, as long as it's not a function that's already been used. I can't call it sum because it's already been used. I can't call it average. I'm going to call it divider. I guess I call it divisor, which is what it should be. Now I'm not sure that that name is already taken or not, and rather than divider, try to pretend English is my first language and call it divisor. Alright, so what I want to do is have the average, come on Excel, equal, alright, equal, take the average divided by, okay, and rather than it being, you know, K5, it just says divisor. Hit enter, copy it down, check for arrows. Yep, it's going by divisor. If I don't like that, name this divisor. Don't go back into this name box and try to change it. If you don't like that, go to formulas and name manager, and in name manager you can then edit, you delete, whatever you want to do from there. So that's naming the cells. Last thing I want to talk about is circular reference, and I have something done here for the circular reference. Actually, let's save that for another time. This video is long enough.